Thank you very much for the survey. I put together all the unedited film taken during the survey into the following sequence. It can be upside down in 90 degrees. So apologies for that. But when I come to edit it, I will remove the bits that are less important. I will voice it up and I'll make it available for the general public, and I'll try and add in additional comparisons from other properties with similar sort of problems. So have a listen to the survey. Towards the end, you'll see information on data loggers if they were available at the time. Otherwise, you can go to damp.ai/detect and see and upload it yourself. Thank you very much. Have a listen now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to calibrate them, show you how to upload them onto, or how to email them to me and get the data log files. And then I've created a website with AI, and you can just upload all the data onto that.
Yeah.
And then it creates a graph, and from the graph you can have a look and understand what's happening.
Okay.
And initially I'll talk to it. I will try to incorporate all of this here, but largely in a room, you are going to get very, very similar dew points. Dew point is a measure of the amount of vapour in air.
Yeah.
And if you look on here, it says the dew point. So
Yeah.
what we're going to do now is we're just leaving it for about half an hour.
Okay.
To come to an equilibrium, so they should be very similar, and the dew point should be very similar. Within a room, so you've moved it from one part of the room to another, as far as I understand. The dew point should be pretty consistent, and that's the thing that we're looking at.
Yeah.
So I'm less concerned about that. So I probably won't talk to that, but you may look at it and see something.
Yeah.
We look at dew point differential, so
Yeah.
that is comparing the dew point in one room to another, because then it tells me if there's more vapour in one room relative to another room.
Yes.
And then I look at the internal dew point and compare it to the external dew point,
Right.
and the external temperature. And in a property, you can't have the internal dew point go above the external temperature, otherwise you get condensation, which is what you've got here.
Yeah.
So if you look at these beads of water here,
Yes.
those beads of water are obviously condensation.
Yeah.
It's double-glazed window, and if you've got beads of water on a double-glazed window, it means that you've got far too much vapour in the air.
Right.
I'm looking at the extractor fan, and it looks like it must be going out.
Yes.
So it looks like it's externally ducted. Are you always good about? Are you both good about using the extractor fan whenever cooking?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so hopefully that's not the issue, but there is a source of vapour.
Yeah.
So when so at the moment the internal dew point is 8.3, and the outside temperature is probably less than 8.3 at the moment. It's probably more like 5 degrees centigrade.
Yeah.
So even today now, when there's
Yeah.
no vapour being generated, you've got too much vapour in the air.
Right.
So that's going to have to be the focus.
Okay.
Mould only grows when relative humidity goes above 85% for long periods of time, sort of 8-10 hours at a time.
Right.
You will get mould growing in three zones. One where there's excess vapour, so where the internal dew point is greater than the outside temperature. 2, where there's poor airflow, so into a corner like that, where you're getting very little airflow from the radiator. I mean, where's the radiator actually? It's electrical radiator. Oh no, it's a big radiator there. And then
use this as well, which is a convector.
we'll have a look a bit at the radiators shortly.
Okay.
And then the third bit is where you've got poor insulation.
Okay.
And in a wall like this, it's probably not particularly well insulated.
No.
You've got, this is a roof, isn't it, over this? This is a single story building.
Yes.
Is it insulated above?
Yes.
Okay.
One layer.
One layer. Which is better than nothing.
Yeah.
But nowadays you would normally expect to have 2 layers quilted of 100 mil.
I can't remember what the material was now, but it's pretty much up to the rafters.
This is using a thermal imaging camera,
Right.
where the blue
right,
is
yeah.
colder than orange,
Yes,
green,
yeah.
orange, red, and it's obviously cold there. The heating is off,
Yeah.
and we look into the corner. So where it's cold, you'll find is where the mould is growing most actively. As I say, in part it's to do with heat loss. In part it's to do with lack of air movement. So you're going down to 7 degrees centigrade in the corner there.
Yeah.
Obviously, when we look at the windows, it's actually going down to 6.3 degrees centigrade. And you are getting mould on the windows, but you're also getting condensation. Actually, ironically, condensation will inhibit mould growth because it suffocates the mould, essentially. That's not a problem, it's just a reality. From then?
We heat it if we're in it.
Okay, but
not if my wife and I are in it, unless it's really freezing cold. We tend to use this. This convector.
Right, so...
Or bundle up.
Okay. I'm going to give you an alternative
Yeah.
that will solve your mould problems, but also give you a little bit of gentle heat, and that's a dehumidifier. Right. Dehumidifiers are good for 5 different reasons, but one of them is all the energy you put into a dehumidifier comes out as heat, but you also get a 50% bonus through enthalpy. As you're moving from vapour to liquid phase, you release heat in the opposite way to going from liquid to vapour. Did he teach science at all? Or?
No.
Okay.
Languages.
Languages, okay. So anyway, it works a bit like an air source heat pump.
Yes.
So you're getting a bonus. So that's number one. Number two is that if you're in a cold, humid environment, it feels colder than if you're in a cold, dry environment. Yeah. So you don't need to have as much heating on. You don't need to wrap up as much. It only works to about 70% relative humidity. After that, it doesn't make a huge difference. But the natural instinct, if it's cold and humid, is to turn the heating on. Yeah. So it's number two. So you can reduce your energy consumption that way. Yeah. Three is the condensation and moisture on a wall causes heat loss. Yes. Because a damp brick is a poor insulator. Right. So it's going to feel colder if it's wetter because you're going to lose a lot of heat. Yes. The other one is when you go away, most people will leave some heat on to reduce the amount of mould and dampness. But actually you can turn the heat off or at least reduce the temperature that it comes on dramatically, but leave a dehumidifier going and it will cost a lot less. It will cost a fraction of the amount of money. Yeah. Those, I think I only gave you 4 reasons. There's a 5th one, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. But and the other, well, I suppose the other thing is it gets rid of these problems. So get a 20-litre dehumidifier. Miyako is a good example, but there are plenty of them. It's a very mature technology. So it's just like a fridge. If you're happy to leave a fridge on while you're not here, you should be happy to leave a dehumidifier on. Yes, and what I do is I have it sitting next to the sink when I'm away and dripping. So I spend a lot of time in Cornwall and I just leave 3 dehumidifiers going when I'm not there. Ooh. It's much cheaper than putting heating on. It's a fraction of the price. And it's the only real way of dealing with excess vapour. Okay, and what was the brand you recommend? Miyako, M-E-A-C-O. M-E-A-C-O is an example, but you know there are plenty of them. Okay. DeLonghi, I think, is one. Yeah. Pure something I can't remember. But
and size is.
20 litres.
20
20. It's a theoretical capacity based on sort of somewhere like Hong Kong, where you have 80% relative humidity and 30 degrees centigrade.
Okay.
But it's a sweet spot between removing vapour efficiently and quickly as possible, and size. So if you go much above that, they start to become quite bulky and noisy and so on. There's another one. If you keep the building cold, you probably, so below about 10-12 degrees centigrade, you should think about having a desiccant type dehumidifier. So most dehumidifiers use the same technology as a fridge. They have a
heat exchange.
Exactly. They have a they force gas to cool down, and desiccant uses chemicals, so it's got a slight smell to it, but it's much more efficient when in low temperature. Other dehumidifiers don't really work particularly well below about 7 degrees centigrade. They start to come very So I use two different types. I use the desiccant and the normal one. It's got a Miyako Zambia desiccant dehumidifier, which works really well.
Yeah. So
when Putin went to war, I stopped using central heating, and I only used dehumidifiers to keep myself warm.
Okay.
I just had one sitting below me in the desk whenever I was working.
Right.
And just gentle heat near to me.
Yeah. Okay. So the first type is just humidifier. Second type is a desiccant humidifier. Yeah.
Well, they'll both call themselves dehumidifiers, but you'll see 95% are just regular. I suppose they're called compression dehumidifiers.
Oh yeah.
Because they're compressing air too. This wall has been damp-proofed, is it, with injections?
Yes, but by me.
By you?
So
taking the skirting board off and then injecting every few bricks?
I don't think I took the board off. I did it just above the board.
Okay.
So there's still a little bit here.
Okay, well...
But generally speaking, it was successful.
Okay, well that's interesting, but it doesn't get rid of the problem.
Oh, right, no.
It reduces a wall's ability to absorb moisture, but it doesn't stop the source of the moisture.
No.
And the source of the moisture is vapour.
Yeah.
And it's just going to go to the next level up.
Yeah.
And it,
Okay.
So largely what people call rising damp, which is what you treated against, is not rising damp, is largely vapour. Excess vapour. Yeah. And treatment is actually the reverse of what you should do, because it doesn't resolve the problem. Yes, you might have hidden it here, but it's going to find itself elsewhere. Okay. And it's going to dampen something else. Yes. Or cause mould. Yeah. But I'll just use this. This is so it's damp to there, and so what happens is the vapour is absorbed into the wall. Yeah. Through just normal absorption. Yeah. And it will fall down through gravity. Yes. And the coldest part of the wall is going to be close to the bottom, because you've got subfloor ventilation, so you've got cold air that's going through the bottom of the wall. Yeah. So the base of this wall is going to be colder, but don't worry about it. Yeah. It will take 6 to 9 months to dry out. Yeah. But there's no particular concern, because what you need to do is deal with the vapour in the first place, and monitor it, and know what the state of the vapour is. Okay. So obviously this is mould that we're looking at, and the three things to know about mould. One is the spores are everywhere, omnipresent in the world. Yeah. So everywhere is at risk of mould. Mould only grows where relative humidity goes above 85% for prolonged periods of time. So in the right environment, every property will have mould, from royal palaces to hospitals to wherever Even the International Space Station has mould, because it comes in with people as they come in. And then the third thing to know about it is that when you've got existing mould growing, you're going to have a higher concentration of mould spores, so you're going to have an increased risk of mould. So you need to really be on top of it. And the best way of doing that, the active ingredient in most anti-mould sprays is bleach. So in an environment like this, where you've just got a tile floor below, you could probably just as easily use bleach. But anti-mould sprays are good because they have a foaming agent that just keeps the bleach up against the wall for a long time.
Okay.
But you can also just use bleach. Okay. It's obviously very damp here. I don't need to. And it's just the standard. The other thing is, so you've got a solid floor.
Yeah.
And on a solid floor, the water is not absorbed into the floor, so it will find its way to the nearest surface that will absorb it, and you will get a huge amount more water at the base of the wall. You can reduce that by using the very same cream that you used for injecting the walls next door.
Okay.
Is dry zone is an example. If you use a thixotropic cream, that reduces the absorption of water, so you can do that. But I think still it's worth. Well, so actually, plaster is not supposed to go down to a solid floor. It's not supposed to hit a solid floor.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to have a gap.
Yeah.
Just even a small gap is enough. But
okay.
I say to people,
isn't that sand cement down there?
I know, but it's still plaster. It's still
yeah.
render plaster.
Okay.
Building material. It's absorbent.
Yeah.
And so because water isn't absorbed into the tile effectively, you get an exacerbation of the amount of water that can be absorbed here.
Yeah.
It's not. It's what I say to people. It's a belt and braces. It's not absolutely necessary. It's not dealing with the root cause, but it will reduce your risk of accidentally going over the dew point going over the outside temperature for any length of time. Yeah. So what most people do is they cut a 10mm, 1 centimetre, run a dry zone. Don't follow the instructions on the dry zone. Just run a bead of dry zone at the base of the wall, and then cover it with a skirting board, so you're unaware of it. Obviously, get somebody to do that for you.
Yes.
There's a product called Dry Zone by Safeguard. It's a thixotropic cream made from siloxane, and it was discovered that it reduced the movement of water in building material.
Yeah.
What
do you mean a report?
Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm videoing everything. The video goes up. I send that to you privately. That then it generates a report which I send to you as an email. Okay. It's not a PDF report or anything. It just goes into the email.
Yeah. No, it's just that there's a lot of information.
I know. That's why I do everything I'm recording everything as I go along.
Great. Okay.
So I don't have to.
Won't retain it all.
Yeah, you don't have to retain it all. But you can see all these walls are going to be. See, you've got a type of mould called brown mould. This actually grows.
This sort of. It's evident there, isn't it? Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see it's?
Yes.
So a brown mould grows where you've got long-term relative humidity that's in a very consistent sort of 80% to 85% environment, which is, it means that there must be long periods of time. Like it's like when you get more a day at a very consistent relative humidity. Yes, that's what it favours. Yeah. So anyway, it's an academic understanding of what's causing it. The solution is to spray it down, get rid of it in the first place, and B, to increase ventilation, dehumidification,
Yes.
and so from this room, but also from the house as a whole. So what happens, just to explain, in the vapour may well be coming from the rest of the house.
Yeah.
And you may be living in a warmer environment in the rest of the house.
Right.
With the central heating
Okay.
turned up and
Yes.
so on. And then, so the relative humidity is a measure of the amount of vapour in air.
Yeah.
So it's a function of both the amount of vapour, so dew point, and the temperature. And if it's nice and warm, it may feel like 70%, it may be 70% relative humidity here and be fine, no problem. And then as soon as you move into a colder environment,
Yes.
because the door's open for 10 minutes, whatever, the temperature goes down and the relative humidity goes up, and then you end up being in the perfect environment for growing mould.
Yes.
So essentially it's to do with heat imbalance.
Yeah.
It's not just ventilation, but it's heat imbalance.
Okay.
The other thing to know is that even with perfect ventilation, you are blowing the internal vapour out and you're replacing it with external vapour,
Yes.
external air with external vapour. And if it's raining outside, the humidity in the water, in the air outside is going to be 100% relative humidity.
Yeah.
So if you just bring everything in and you have no dehumidification, so even with perfect ventilation
Yeah.
and no dehumidification or heating, you're going to end up with mould.
Yeah.
So ventilation only goes part of the way. You need one of four other ingredients, and the cheapest one is dehumidifier, but the others heating, insulation, and airflow.
Yeah.
So even with perfect insulation, if you don't have the airflow, you're not going to get the heat from the radiator through to the cold surface. So that is going to get very little airflow.
Okay.
Because it's just like a corner area.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you've got all the heat loss from the outside.
Okay.
Well, we'll have a look on the outside actually.
So, was a mistake to block that up like that?
Well, so I'm not a big fan of passive vents,
Okay.
because unless there's air movement on the outside, you're not going to get any of the benefit.
No.
But you'll get even less benefit if they're blocked up.
Right.
It's the worst of both worlds. So you get all the heat loss, but none of the airflow. But you're much better off having an active vent. It's a slightly different environment, but I've got a kitchen that I've just installed where we have both an active vent in the ceiling, so it's blowing air out, and the vent above the hob.
Yeah.
And then that just forces air out.
Yeah.
But I don't think if you run a dehumidifier, that's you've got a dehumidifier here. Is this?
No, that's an air purifier.
Oh, okay. Well, funnily enough, dehumidifiers are also air purifiers. Most of them.
Oh,
If you look for on the list of specifications, if it says HEPA filter on it, then it will. Then it will get rid of the. It will reduce the spores, mold spores, but they'll still go around to some degree. The biggest fears people have is allergies, and when you've got mold, you also have dust mites. Dust mites will colonise in the same environment, humid environment as mold.
Yes.
And they're the things that cause the allergies. It's not the mould that's causing the allergies, apart from very, very rare and high levels.
Yeah.
So resolving this will also resolve any allergies and dust mites that people have.
Right.
Let's have a look
This is
outside.
making sense because many years ago we had subsidence here, and we had this underpinned, and they went down 2 meters.
And it was dry.
This is an Irishman.
Yeah.
his head was just about. So there's a huge amount of concrete under there, and I think it went right round. I can't remember exactly how far.
So the whole thing moved, did it? Was there a tree?
I can't remember what the circumstances were, but there was a little outhouse built onto this wall, and that parted company with the kitchen. And as a result of that, we actually had these windows put in and changed the whole thing. I can't remember what triggered the subsidence. It is prone to subsidence around here.
Okay, but the substance. Well, I'm not a structural engineer, so I'm not qualified to talk about it. But substance comes from really two things. One is trees, which is the most common cause.
Big one then.
You've got a big one. Yeah, but still, the general rule of thumb is if the top of the tree is higher, the distance from the ground to the top of the tree should be less than the distance from the tree to the house. And I would say it is, because that's how far roots will go. Yeah. So anyway, it's trees, and they sort of suck in and water, and absorb it. And then the other one is underground pipe work. Yeah. And if you have a drain that's cracked, you're liable to get subsidence.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So I'm just testing it. It's well over what's required, so it's working well. Just talk to a few things. So these are obviously new bricks here, or
there was probably a vertical damp course on there, but I can't remember that.
This
was where it was.
I wouldn't encourage you to have one, but these look like original bricks.
These are original bricks, yeah.
And these don't, which is just odd. Yeah. The only thing I can think of is that they are original bricks, but they were under a plinth, and they were hidden. And these are more prettier bricks. Yes. And these were less. But I'm not saying that you should do anything about it, but I prefer to see walls with a plinth at the base. Yeah. That goes all the way down, and a little. Yeah. Fillet of cement or at the base of the wall, but that isn't your problem. No. Your problem is internal.
We've got it elsewhere. In my memory, way back, we had a dry damp course put in there, and so that
crack there is presumably your subsidence.
That's been there forever. Yeah. And it's never changed.
From a damp point of view, it's nothing to worry about. No. So I would say try and keep things away from the wall, because you can see that zone there where it's damp. That's going to cause heat loss, but also it can risk water penetrating through. It's too small to worry about at the moment, but any small things can build up. Okay. I mean, just as much as anything. So you can get overflow from water tanks, water butts.
Well, that's sort of goes straight into the drain anyway, if there is overflow.
Yeah, but presumably it's going into that, and then
it goes into that first, yeah.
This is obviously what's the opposite of acute? I can't think of it off the top of my head.
The angle, you mean?
Yeah. Anyway, it's more than 90 degrees obtuse. And whereas this one is acute. And that means you're going to get a lot more heat loss. There's a lot of building material that is exposed to the cold air outside, and you're going to get a lot more heat loss, plus underneath the roof. Interestingly enough, you've got hygroscopic salts here.
Have we done?
Yeah. These here are hygroscopic salts. You see that darkening there? Yeah. They are calcium nitrate's the most common one, and it causes water to from the air to condense. It's called deliquescence, but it's a form of condensation. It's just an academic thing, but it's one of the reasons for thinking that there's groundwater causing rising damp, but actually in London you don't get groundwater, so you don't get the rising damp in London.
I remember getting questions from.
So those salts there that you're getting on the wall, those are almost certainly calcium sulfate salts. It's quite difficult to tell the difference between calcium sulfate and mould. So I'm not saying that they couldn't be mould, but they're most commonly calcium sulfate.
Yeah.
Calcium sulfate used to be known as gypsum, and it's the name for plaster because plaster primarily contains calcium sulfate. It's about 70% calcium sulfate, and when it becomes wet, it will move to the evaporation surface and crystallise just like normal table salt or sea salt would do. So nothing to worry about. It's benign, it's not going to do anything. It just needs to be sanded down, but since it's behind the cooker, I wouldn't worry about it. So I've recalibrated them against this, and they're both showing a dew point. You'll see a bit of fluctuation constantly, but it's 8 degrees centigrade and it's 8.6. Dew point is a measure of the amount of vapour in air. It's also the temperature where condensation takes place at. And the good thing is that you can compare one to another, so you can determine if there's more vapour in one room compared to another room. And you can see if there's an influence, if the vapour is coming from one place or being removed from another place. But for now, what I want you to do is to just press the green numbers and it will download the data.
Right.
Yeah, just gentle tap.
Okay. There you go.
Like that. And that synchronises it. I probably got warmer fingers.
Yes.
And that synchronises it. You can see the speed. Also, it's going across there. What I'm going to get you to do is press the calculator sign there, top right, and then the export sign, top right. Top that one there.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then export CSV. And you have to allow all, I would say. And then, do you have any of these? So have you got Gmail or Outlook?
I've got Gmail.
Okay, if you press Gmail, and then send it to myself, simon@dampsurveys.com.
Okay.
I'll just quickly go through that again, just in case. So you have to press the green number to activate it. You do the export sign, you do the export sign there, and then press export CSV and then send it. And then once that's done, you go back to the start. And if you can, I'll do it in the first instance. I'll put it on, I will talk to a set of graphs.
Right.
And then you can do it yourself in the future. So I encourage you to try it in a week's time.
Right.
Follow the video and see what I say.
Okay.
And then have a look at improvements over time, because what you're looking for is to bring this dew point below the outside temperature.
Right.
That's the key thing. I encourage you to use HG anti-mold spray.
HG.
It will be recorded. HG anti-mold spray. It's the one I use personally. The other thing you have to remember is plants themselves will release water. So all the water that you give plants will come back out as vapour again.
Okay.
So unless you're removing that vapour from the air, you're going to have it going on into the wall and resulting in condensation and mould.
Okay.
So and you've basically got spores on the ceiling and the walls as well. So do you see that even though you're not getting a lot of heat loss here, the reason that you're getting it here is because you're not getting the heat gain, because this surface is stopping the airflow, and it's just a small amount. It can make 1 degree centigrade increases relative humidity by 5%. So if in the centre of the room it's 20 degrees centigrade and 60% relative humidity,
Right.
if mould will grow at 85% relative humidity, which is only 25% relative humidity more. Divide that by 5, take that off 20. So if this is 15 degrees centigrade and that's 20 degrees centigrade, you'll end up having mould growing here because of the temperature difference.
Okay.
That's all it is, really.
Yeah.
Is that you're drying clothes internally, so you need to remove the vapour from these because all the extra weight of damp clothing is water.
Yeah.
So an extra kilo is an extra litre.
Right.
And if you're not removing it, it from this room, it will just flow through the air to a cold area. So it might be relatively warm here compared to...
It is, because they always have their heating on next door. This is the party wall.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just a reality.
Yes.
So I would say... So when you're thinking about dehumidifiers, you want to either run it in the source of the vapour, and this is going to be probably your primary source of vapour.
Right.
Or you run it where you've got the issue.
Yeah.
Or both.
Yeah.
So there is a case for running a dehumidifier here and having it just sitting here and then constantly draining into the sink there. Set to 70% relative humidity.
Yeah.
I probably would do that, or use a dryer. But this will probably be one of the primary sources of vapour.
Right.
Bathroom extractor fans really need to have an overrun of half an hour.
Oh, right.
It's better to... It doesn't really matter in your own personal house if it's manual, so long as you're pressing it on. I'll test it to see how fast it is, but when did you install it? Maybe...
Oh gosh, years ago.
They can clog up in that time.
Well, I hoover it out every so often.
Okay, good. Well, I'll measure it. So this is running at about 11 litres a second. But if it's also coming from the other side, it will be the combination. So I'm suspecting actually you're getting a decent airflow through. So using two hands, I was able to get it up to 12.4. 15 litres a second, so it's that number there. 15 litres a second is what you aim for, but actually most people are well below that, so it's not bad and I wouldn't worry too much about it. But make sure to keep the extractor fan running for half an hour and the door closed, because you don't want the vapour coming from the bathroom to the rest of the property. Vapour rises just like clouds are up in the sky, because H2O is lighter than O2. However, a bathroom on the first floor will have some effect because vapour moves through diffusion. On the second floor it's going to have a lot less effect, but I'm very happy to look at it, but I just don't think it would have much effect on downstairs.
It's got a big Velux window in there.
Okay, so and you probably don't use it that much when it's just the two of you.
It's just a shower.
Thing to be said for having this trickle vent system slightly open.
Okay.
And it just allows the air to move through the house up and out.
Okay.
So the vapour is released, but you can use the data loggers just to see how it's helping or not. So the good news is that this is all fixable. Yes. And it's just to do with vapour management. And using the data loggers here will go a long way to help you with vapour management. And the key thing to know is that there's something called the dew point. The dew point is a measure of the amount of vapour in air. It's also the temperature where condensation takes place at. And you can see it on the phone, but I've got it here, and it's showing me that at the moment the dew point, the internal dew point, is 8.4 degrees centigrade. Yes. And you need to be keeping that below the outside temperature by increasing ventilation or dehumidification. And in this type of environment, I think you need to be running a dehumidifier pretty much 24/7, potentially even 2, but I'll talk to that later on. I think every property in modern living, especially in the UK, should be running a dehumidifier most of the time. And the 20, you need to have a good one, not
Yes.
not just a small thing, but a 20 litre per day dehumidifier. And it will reduce your energy bills for a lot of different reasons. It will reduce your carbon footprint, and you should run it 24/7 when humidity is high. The reason why is for lots of different reasons that I've already put on, but this outbuilding is much colder than the rest of the property, and you're not heating it
Yes.
when you're not using it.
Yes.
So therefore, all the vapour that's coming from the rest of the property is coming into this room, and the temperature of the surface is causing high humidity, because relative humidity, so mould only grows where relative humidity goes above 85% for long periods of time. You get a type of brown mould, which you've also got, which grows between 80 and 85%, but it needs very consistent.
Yes.
So relative humidity is a measure of both the amount of vapour, so dew point, and the temperature. And you may have nice warm condition with normal levels of relative humidity in the living room, the lounge, but as soon as you open the door and the vapour comes into this room, it hits the cold surface, and then it goes shooting up to over 85%.
Yeah.
And then where you're actually getting most of the mould is in these zones that are where you're getting the greatest heat loss or the poorest airflow. So, for instance, that corner there, you're getting lots of external heat loss because it's a thin brick on the outside, so you've got increased surface area on the outside. But plus, you can't get the heat from the radiators into that corner because the air moves, the heat in the residential environment moves through air currents, and they just simply can't get into that area. You've got a convector heater, and convection can't get into. So that's why you're getting it there. So you've got to reduce the relative humidity, but reducing the dew point. But even if you were to ventilate, even if you were just to keep all the windows open all the time, it wouldn't be sufficient because the outside vapour level can be quite high, especially when it's raining. And you'll find that you get mould on the outside of properties as well as the inside, because the relative humidity is high outside for long periods of time. In the UK, in a temperate climate like temperate climate like we have in the UK and London, ventilation isn't sufficient unless you're either heating or, more importantly, dehumidifying. So there are four sources of vapour. Respiration, about 3/4 litre per person per day. And since COVID, when people have been at home, I know you're retired but the more time you spend at home, the more vapour generation. The kettle. The kettle, so that respiration and plants respire. Yes. So all the water you give to plants comes back out as vapour. Very kind of them. But no, it's fine. But so long as you're removing, it's an equation. Vapour in has to equal vapour out, otherwise it will go onto the wall. So respiration, showering or bathing is roughly 1/2 litre per shower per day. But you've got a good vent, but you need to have it running for at least half an hour with the door closed, so the vapour is going out and not this way.
Yes.
The third one is from drying clothes, and you've got a dryer there. You're drying it in the air.
Yes.
In a warm room because you're getting heat from the neighbour's side.
Yes.
And that vapour will move from that room through diffusion to here, like smoke. So if somebody was smoking in that room, you'd soon smell it over here.
Yes.
And then obviously cooking, and you need to use the kitchen extractor fan, which I'm sure you do. It's a good extractor
it's
fan.
pretty good, that one, yes.
But you always got to remember that when you're pushing vapour out, it's being replaced from the outside.
Pulling it in from, yes.
You're pulling in from the rest of the house, but eventually it's being pulled in from outside. And if it's raining outside, you'll have to run it for longer to get the same effect. So that's the key thing. And the second one is that mould only grows where relative humidity is above 85%. But mould spores are omnipresent. But if you, in the world, up to the level that aeroplanes fly at, even an International Space Station.
Really?
But if you've got mould already growing, you're going to get a much higher concentration of mould. So you need to be on top of the mould, and I would recommend using an anti-mould spray such as HG anti-mould spray.
Write that down.
And just be on top of it. Make it into like a weekly routine. And once you've cracked it, you'll find that it's less likely to grow back and in less quantities, because you're going to reduce the amount of spores in the air. The other thing to understand is that a lot of people accuse mould spores of causing allergies, but it's not the mould spores, it's the dust mites you get in exactly the same environment. So if you get rid of the humidity, you'll reduce the colonisation of dust mites. In fact, when you've got lots of carpets, you'll get more dust mites. So think about. But when you don't have carpets, hoover it. There you go. That's the solution. The data loggers last for 3 months. I like the data loggers because they log every 10 minutes, and you can upload the data onto the website I've created at damp.ai/detect. But actually, from a visual point of view, this is better. This meter actually shows the dew point, but it's only at a point in time.
Yes.
So it's visual, and it's great from that point of view. If you're only good at mathematical calculation, it's actually quite easy to do the maths and work out what the dew point is, because you just have to remember for every degree centigrade, you increase the relative humidity by 5%. So I can quickly see to myself the difference between 100% and 75 is 25%. Divide that by 5, so that gives me 5 degrees centigrade. If you do 13 minus 5, you get to 8. Well, it's 8.8, but you know, mathematically it's quite a quick thing to work out. So I'm used to doing it because I'm obviously do this. But
this will be in your report, yes?
I'm recording everything.
Yeah, great. Steam is
this is white mould, as you quite correctly say.
It's similar in the other cupboard. I sort of washed it off with vinegar and stuff.
Same environment. Yeah, vinegar's good, but it does contain water. Well, mind you, so do anti-mould sprays. But I'd probably go for an HG. But so the thing to know in the cupboards is when you open them up, you're going to get the vapour in. Yeah. When you close them off, they're going to become cold.
Yes. And
you've got no insulation behind, and you've got the metal, so it's going to retain the low temperature for longer. Okay. And so it's exactly the same environment. I would say with cupboards that there is one thing that you can do relatively easily. You can insulate the back of the cupboard. Yeah. So for example, you can use wood fibre. So you can buy some from B&Q relatively inexpensively. They use it for underfloor underlay, for timber flooring. Yeah. And it's relatively inexpensive, but that's not the solution. The solution has to come to bringing the internal vapour levels down. Yes. Yeah. But once you've got the mould, the spores are going to be in the air, so they're going to be finding the next place to. I would use a vacuum with a HEPA filter to try and suck out the mould initially, and then you spray an anti-mould spray, HG. Yeah. So this is the data logger system at damp.ai/detect. Here are your files. So we've uploaded one, and unfortunately we've only got a single file, but that's fine. You just have to just double tap that. The temperature of the cold wall was 9.1, and that creates a graph. And look at this, your surface relative humidity, so that's the green line here, is extremely high, close to 100%, where you get condensation. And what we can see here is the dew point. This dew point line is a measure of the amount of vapor in air. And if it goes above the outside temperature, which is this red or pinkish line here, you will have a risk of condensation, particularly in an unheated area with poor air circulation, as you have in the kitchen. If you have perfect ventilation where you're constantly replacing internal air with internal vapor, with the external air with the external vapor, you would always have the dew point at the same level as the outside dew point, the internal dew point, same as the outside. But clearly you're not doing that. And the only solution is to target the internal vapor. I can't show you the dew point differential because the living room data logger wasn't sent for some reason. But you can do it yourselves. Just drag and drop it onto this. It's damp.ai/detect. And you can see, then you can zoom in at different days and you can look and think to yourself, well, what happened on the morning of the 21st at 1:17? There's a high dew point there, and yet the outside was low dew point, low temperature. So there must have been something that happened, maybe drying clothes, maybe there can be a lot of different things. Somebody returning home. Anyway, have a look at this and use your own data on it. Use your data on it. So as you can see, the temperature was low, but interestingly enough, the temperature of the wall remains at 9.1. You see that number 2 when you turn the heating on. So the heating isn't influencing that corner as much as you might expect. Now that's a short-term temporary thing, but even so, the key issue with this kitchen is obviously excess vapor in the first place, but also insufficient heat for the amount of vapor that you have and insufficient insulation and airflow. So it's a combination of those factors.